Here we go. Welcome. This is going to be a 45-minute vinyasa flow and pranayama, a little breath work at the end. So one of the things, because I know we have people of all levels accessing this from home, from lots of different places and time zones. So we're going to try to keep it as accessible as possible. So in the spirit of that, I want to maintain a sort of minimal amount of props that are going to be helpful or necessary. We don't want to make this dependent on a lot of equipment that people may not have at home. Having said that, in the spirit of there being all levels and some people with really open hamstrings and some people with much tighter, I'm going to list a few things that if you have them might be helpful. I think the number one thing is a towel, a hand towel, a dish towel. If you have a bigger towel, it's fine. But this is really, really helpful when we're opening the shoulders, when we're opening the hamstrings. It can be used as an arm extender, just give you a little bit more space. Also, if you get warm, if you get sweaty, a towel is always helpful. So that is one prop that I think most people have some sort of dish towel or something hanging around the house. So that would be a good idea. The next thing is a set of blocks. If you have them, I always think is really good to have on hand. If you don't, not to worry. I have also seen in this time of a lot of home workouts and home yoga and home practices, people being really creative with things that you might substitute for blocks. Not necessarily every single thing is going to work in every situation, but one of the most common uses for blocks is, again, if people have tighter backs, tighter hamstrings, sometimes any sort of forward bend can be a challenge. The nice thing about blocks is it sort of lifts the floor to you so that you don't have to round the shoulders forward. So in many cases where you might use blocks, if you don't have blocks, but you have, I've seen people use travel mugs or anything sort of that height that you might put under the hands. It's just something to think about. I've also seen people stack books. Sometimes we lay on top of blocks. The other thing is when you're upright and seated, again, sometimes low back or hamstring tightness can cause sort of this to happen. So it doesn't need to be a block. It could be a pillow. It could be a folded towel or blanket, but it can be helpful to have something to sit up on. Okay, so I'll create a post and maybe we can put it in the notes for the class so that we don't spend a lot of time talking about props in each and every session. But since this is the first week, those of you that are watching this later on demand, this is our first session of this specific class style. So I did want to mention some of these things so that if you have equipment on hand that is just like this or that you can substitute for this, just to be aware. Cool? Okay. So let's start in a child's pose. And I think it's a great place to start because, again, in an all levels class, this is a pose that you might come to throughout the class if you need a break. All right, your hips are going to draw back. Your arms are going to reach forward. And if you have any knee issues or ankle issues and this is not working, if you do have a towel or a blanket, you can roll up behind the knees. That is one modification to lessen the extreme knee flexion. And if that's still not doing the trick, then another way of doing child's pose is sort of to flip it on its back and just hug your knees into the chest. And it's a lot of the same benefits. Really what we're doing is lengthening the low back, opening up space in the back body, lengthening the spine, and just grounding down, sort of minimizing any external distractions, creating an opportunity to focus on the breath. Good. And The most common breath in yoga is something called Ujjayi breath, sometimes referred to as ocean breath, because that's a bit what it sounds like. So the idea with Ujjayi breath is that you breathe in and out through the nose. So you're closing the lips without tightening the jaw or clenching. And as you breathe in and out through the nose, see if you can't sort of find a soft opening at the back of the throat. And over time, you might start to notice that the air passing underneath the back roof of the mouth at the back of the throat sort of sounds like an ocean wave, hence ocean breath or Ujjayi breath. And like the ocean, the natural rhythm of your breath is going to fluctuate. So see if you can get attuned to that rhythm when you're here, wherever you are in a position of rest. And as we move through more and at times less challenging shapes, right, the goal is to try to keep this breath flowing at a steady, even pace. So if you find the breath has gone away or become restricted, right, the challenge becomes, what can we do to create more opportunity for breath, more opportunity for space in the body, noticing where you might need to effort more, where you can effort less or release a little bit more. Good. So on your next inhale, come to all fours. If you're in child's pose, you're just shifting the hips forward. If you're on your back, rock forward, cross the ankles. We're going to take a couple rounds of cat-cow. So pull the chest forward. Exhale, press the floor away. Good. And this is, again, starting to link the natural rhythm of the breath with the movement. As well as starting to warm up the spine. Right, on the inhale, you're pulling the chest forward. And on the exhale, lifting the navel, pressing the floor away. Good. Inhale, flat back, tuck your toes. And for a moment, I want you to try to just hover the knees off the mat. And notice what happens through your core, right? Tightens up, pull the navel up to the spine, wrap the side waist in towards your midline. Should feel a little bit like plank or upper push-up position. Good. Try not to get your hips higher than your shoulders, right? Lengthen your heart forward. And then start to lift the hips. Keep the knees bent to start so that you keep that spine nice and long. And then start to lengthen the legs one at a time, pedaling through the feet. And just notice how the backs of the legs are feeling. Your priority is keeping the length in the spine over straightening the legs. So if you're straightening the legs, but this is happening, right? Then bend the knees and tilt your tailbone up a little further. Good. And then over time, work on lengthening the legs and dropping the heels to the mat. Good. Inhale to plank. Good. Exhale, downward facing dog. And we'll go between the two again on the rhythm of your breath. Inhale to plank pose. Exhale to downward facing dog pose. Good. And in addition to sort of waking up the core here, I'm going to also start to loosen the shoulders. So next time you come to plank, I want you to pause. Spin your biceps forward, drag the tops of the shoulders back. And now as you pull back to down dog, I want you to try to continue to spin the biceps forward. Notice that rotation through the shoulder. So the shoulders don't lift into the ears, and maintain what it is. It's going to help you maintain the space at the base of the neck. Good. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Okay. Next time you come to downward facing dog, float your right leg up in the air. As you exhale, I want you to try to tap your nose with your knee. Really try to touch. Good. Lengthen the leg up. Exhale, contract. Good. Last one. Good. Lower the right foot next to the left. Shift forward, plank pose. This first round, let's drop the knees first. Keep pulling the chest forward, and then bend your elbows. Lower all the way to the mat. Good. Untuck your toes. First thing, press into the tops of the feet. Slide your tailbone back towards your heels. It's going to feel as though you're lifting the low belly off the mat. That's what you want. From here, hands frame your ribs. Pull your shoulders back. Hug your elbows in by your side ribs. And then inhale the heart forward. Good. So it's less about how high you're lifting off the mat and how far forward you're dragging the chest. Good. Last one. And lower down. Tuck your toes. You can keep the knees down, or if you want more of a challenge, float the knees. Slowly press in one straight line. Back to plank. And lift the hips, downward facing dog. Good. Left side. Same thing as side one. Try to touch the knee to the nose. Three of these. Here's your last one. Extend the leg back. Lower the left foot next to the right. Shift forward to plank. Drop the knees first or slowly lower to the mat in one straight line. Shoulders back, elbows in. All right, press into the tops of the feet. Same thing as the last round. 3 breaths. Pulling the chest forward. Good. Awesome. Again, modify if you need to. Keep the knees down or press up in one straight line. And lift your hips, downward facing dog. So building on that, we're going to take the right leg up again. You know it. Knee to nose. Good. Inhale, extend. Exhale, contract. Good. Last one. Shift forward, pull the knee through, lift the shin higher away from the mat 3 times. Use that lower belly. Good. Hold the lift, step the foot inside the right hand, drop your back knee. Nice. Okay, so a couple options here. You can interlace fingers on top of the thigh. You can reach the arms up, but soften your shoulders away from your ears. Tilt your pelvis upright, tailbone to the floor, frontal hip points lift. Good. Hands down. Shift your hips back. Flex your front foot. And this is one place where possibly blocks could be helpful. You're on the tighter side, right? So that you lift the floor to you. You'll get more out of the hamstring stretch if you're not rounding the back just to be able to reach the floor. Good. Okay, rebend that front knee. Take the right foot out towards the right edge of your mat. The right hand comes inside the right foot. Pull the chest forward. Melt the hips to the floor. Good. All right, from here, tuck your back toes. Float your back knee. Reach your right arm up, twist. Circle the right hand down, step back to plank. So your choice here, you can lower all the way to the mat or come to chaturanga. Watch you're not dipping the shoulders forward. If you're coming to chaturanga, bend those elbows, pull the chest forward, forward, and then upward facing dog or cobra if you're all the way on the mat, and then downward facing dog. Good. Second side. Left leg lifts 3 times. Knee to nose. Stay with the breath. Good. Now, you're going to lift the shin 3 times. 2, 3. Hold the lift. Step the foot through. Drop your back knee. Interlace fingers or reach the arms up. Tilt that pelvis upright. Opening up the front of that right thigh. Good. Hands to blocks or the mat. Maybe fingertips, hamstring stretch. Shift your hips back. Maybe flex your front foot. Pull the chest forward. Good. Rebend your front knee. Take it out to the left. Bring the left hand in. Sink the hips. Keep pulling the chest forward. Good. Tuck your back toes. Float your back knee. Left arm up. Twist toward that left leg. Bring your left hand back down. Step back to plank. Right? You can hold plank and press back to down dog. You can lower all the way to the mat. You can come halfway to chaturanga. Back bend on the inhale. Downward facing dog on the exhale. Good. Okay, same idea. Right leg lifts. Knee to nose. All right, building on the same pattern with the flow, right? Sort of helps. Good. So now you're gonna draw the knee forward, lift the shin 3 times, 2, 3, hold the lift, step the foot through. Soften your back knee, come up to crescent pose. So we keep building on the same pattern so that each time we get a little deeper, go a little further, have a little bit more challenge. Good. Reach up, look up, and then take a twist to the right. So from here, we're gonna come to side plank facing the right. So you're gonna roll onto the outer edge of the back foot. You could keep that right leg as sort of a kickstand in front of you, or if you wanna stack the right leg on top of the left, maybe the right foot comes right in front of the left. Good. Lift the hips, lift your left ribs, maybe top arm up and over. If you want, last breath, float the top leg, and then come to plank, vinyasa, or straight to downward facing dog. Good. Okay, left side. Knee to nose 3 times. Good. Shift forward, lift the shin. And then step the foot through. Soften your back knee so you can get that pelvis upright as you come up to crescent pose. Get deep in the front thigh, soften your shoulders, reach your arms up, lift the chest, and then right hand down, left arm up. You're twisting towards your left leg. Same as the last round. And then side planks. You're all onto the outer edge of the back foot. Your left foot can be a kickstand in front of you, right? Or you can stack the legs or one foot in front of the other. Whatever you did on side one. Good. Lift those right ribs up into the body. Maybe float the top leg for the last breath. Plank pose. You know your choices, however you want to get to downward facing dog. Good. Okay. Right leg lifts. I think we got it with the knee to nose. We're warm, yeah? So you're just going to step the foot through. This time, if you have a block, I would place it inside the right foot. If not, you're going to pop onto your fingertips inside your right foot. Spin your back heel down and try to stack your left hip on top of your right hip. So you see now why a block can be helpful, so we're not in a side bend, right? The more you lift the floor to you, you can lengthen your right ribs. Another option is forearm to thigh. But excuse my back, it's not that helpful if you're doing this, right? So you want to lift the ribs, lift up out of the shoulder, right? If the hand easily reaches the ground, great. Good. Bend that front knee a lot so it's stacked right over the ankle. And then come up to warrior two. Okay, so here's the deal with warrior two. Knee directly over the center of your front foot, so you're not compromising that knee joint. Pull your right hip back. Let your outer left hip roll forward a bit. And then make sure your back arm is extending right back behind your left shoulder. Look over your front arm. Good. Reverse the warrior. Keep the bend in the front knee. Breathe into the right side of the body. Good. And then as you come forward, back to that extended side angle, you're going to straighten the front leg. Come to triangle pose. Again, fingertips on the mat, hand could be on a block if you have it. You could take your hand to your shin, but just watch. Those of you that can hyperextend, if your hand is on your shin, I want you to kind of press your calf forward. So you're keeping that right knee happy. And then reach your right ribs forward, roll your chest up, look up if you can. Shoulders pull away from the ears. Breathe. Good. Rebend your front knee. Reverse the warrior. Again, breathe into the right side of the waist. Cartwheel the hands. Step back to plank. You decide how you get to downward facing dog, with or without a vinyasa. Good. Left side. Left leg lifts. Step the foot through. Good. So your left hand comes inside the foot with or without a block. Your back heel spins down, and you're going to peel the right hip so that it stacks on top of the left, and then stack your shoulders, stack your wrists. And as you pull that left hip back, you're bending the left knee a lot and reaching your chest forward. Good. Shoulders out of the ears. Breathe. Good. Come up to warrior two. Nothing changes in the legs. Notice. Shoulders soft, but arms are straight. Look back. Often the back arm is doing something we didn't think it was. And then fix your gaze over your front arm. Maybe get a little deeper in that front thigh. Make sure the knee tracking over the center of the foot. Good. Reverse the warrior. Keep the bend in the front knee. Breathe into the left side of the body. Right. And then as you hinge forward, back to your extended side angle pose. Straighten your front leg. Don't change anything else. And now you're in triangle pose. So it's the same idea with the hips, right? You're still pulling that left hip back. So it's hugging underneath your top hip. And then pulling the chest forward, shoulders back. Good. Breathe. Okay, bend your front knee. Reverse the warrior. And then cartwheel your hands, right? If you're using props, move them out of your way. Vinyasa or straight to downward facing dog. Your choice. Good. Right leg lifts. This time, let's bend the knee and stack the hips. Maybe circle that top ankle. Good. Re-extend. Step the foot through. Again, extended side angle pose. So spin your back heel down with or without a block. Your right hand comes inside the right foot. Left arm reaches up. This time, a half bind. So watch your top arm. Spin the palm so it's facing back behind you. And then bend that left elbow. And it might be that the top of the hand touches the sacrum. Some of you might be able to catch the inner thigh. But it's all the same work as the last round. Right hip pulls back and down. Right, reach your right ribs forward. Look up. If you want more, reach that right arm forward. Good. Reverse the warrior. Good. Come right back where you were. Extended side angle pose. Look down. Heel toe the back foot a little closer. Reach your right arm with or without a block forward. Little balance pose. So stay with the breath. Doesn't matter if you have a bend in your standing leg. Try to lengthen your lifted leg. Some of you, you're still in that half bind with the left arm. So maybe you bend the left knee, find a little back bend. Otherwise, stay with the left leg straight. Stay right where you were. Good. Release the foot with control if your left knee was bent. Step back lightly. Warrior two. Good. Lengthen your right leg. Harden my back. Pivot your toes. So all 10 toes are facing the left edge of your mat. You're going to reach your arms up and you're going to fold between your legs. Good. And again, depending on how open the hamstrings are, this is another place where it could be helpful to have blocks. Maybe you're on your fingertips, right? Some of you, maybe you're folding a little deeper between the legs, reaching the arms through. Wherever you are is great. Soften your knees, just let that head hang. More than anything, this is a release for the low back. It's a release for the neck. Good. Okay. So come back to a flat back. We're going to turn back to the front of the mat. So turn to your right, pivot your right toes to the front, spin your back heel up. You're back in a runner's lunge. Hold on. We've been here before, right? Twist towards that right leg. Come back to your side plank. maybe with a kickstand, maybe stacking the legs. We've opened the hips, maybe this time tree pose. Good. Option to take the right toes behind you, lift the hips, roll the chest open, and then find your way back to downward facing dog. Good. Okay, left leg lifts, bend the knee, open the hips. Re-extend the leg, step the foot through. Block if you have it, block if you want it, it's fine. Spin your back heel down. Come to extended side angle pose. Your right hand, palm spins to the back. Bring it around behind the back. Maybe catch the inner thigh. If you did on side one, reach the left arm forward. Good. Okay. Keep the right arm where it is. Reverse the warrior. Lengthen that left side waist. Come right back where you were. Block or no block. Reach your left arm forward. Heel toe the back foot a little closer. Come forward into half moon pose. Stacking the hips, right? Maybe a soft bend in your standing leg. Lengthen the right leg. Maybe if you did on side one, you're bending the knee of the lifted leg, catching the foot, right? Opening up the chest. Beautiful. Release with control. Step back. Warrior two. Lengthen that front leg. Pivot your toes, all 10 toes facing the right edge of the mat. Reach the arms up and fold. And as you drop the crown of the head, if you can comfortably place the hands on the mat, that's great. Lift the shoulders up out of the ears. So you're finding more length on both sides of the neck. Good. Maybe even nod the head no, release any tension, neck, shoulders, jaw. Good. Inhale, heart forward, flat back. Okay, so you know it this time because we've already done it on the first side. Crawl back to the left. Runner's lunge, facing the front of the mat. Keep turning to the left. Side plank facing the left. Whatever variation you took on the first side. Good. Option. Wild thing on the way out. Lift the hips, roll the chest open. And then with or without a vinyasa, make your way to downward facing dog. Good. Drop your knees or jump through and have a seat. Good. So from here, let's take a seated spinal twist. This is one of those places. If you're rounding in the low back, sit on a block, sit on a folded blanket, whatever you have available, but try to sit up tall, left leg in front of you, right foot comes outside the left leg, and then your left arm reaches up as you inhale, and as you exhale, you're gonna twist to the right. Right, and you can hug the knee to the chest. You can slide the tricep outside the thigh for leverage. But try to keep the shoulders back and the chest lifted. Good. Good. Stay in your twist. Look back to center And then unwind the rest of the body. Switch your legs. Right leg forward, left foot outside, right thigh. Sit up tall, shoulders down. Right arm lifts on the breath in, on the breath out. Move into your twist. Good. Stay in your twist, look back to the front, and unwind your twist. Extend both legs out in front of you. Again, sit on something if you need to. Sit up tall, try to get on the front edges of the sitting bones. Reach up and fold. And this is where your towel, right, might be a good arm extender. You could take it around the balls of the feet. Otherwise, maybe grab the outer shins. Good. Inhale, come up. Scoot your hips forward if you need to, so you have enough space behind you. Tuck your tailbone, slowly roll onto your back. Just paused here. Good. Okay. So from your back, bend your knees, plant your feet on the mat, press into your feet, lift your hips, and then your choice. If you can interlace fingers under the hips, great. Maybe the towel, if that's not accessible, the towel could come between the hands again, right? And give you just a little bit more space. Good. Try to point your knees straight forward, keeping them in line with your hips. Good. Release the hands, lower the hips. Keep your knees bent, but take your feet as wide as the mat. Let the knees knock in towards each other. Good. And then windshield wiper the knees gently side to side, releasing the lower back. Good. Extend the legs out in front of you. Relax the arms, spin the palms up. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out through the mouth. Good. On your next inhale, interlace fingers in front of your heart. Stretch your arms up overhead, lengthen through your legs, take a full body stretch, and then release. Bend the knees again, placing the feet on the mat. Roll to one side and press yourself up or rock forward to a seated position. Again, if it's hard for you to sit up tall for whatever reason, flat on the mat, then use whatever you have available to elevate the hips. Find a comfortable seat with a long, straight back, right? And if that means you have a wall nearby and you want to sit up against a wall, that's okay too. Try to keep the eyes soft or closed. And just notice the breath. Good. We're going to move into a little breathing pattern. So take a couple more breaths in that ujjayi or ocean pattern, just in and out through the nose in your natural body rhythm. And then we're going to try to lengthen and even out the breath. So I'll count through with you. You'll inhale to a count of 5, hold all the air in for a count of 5, and exhale to that same count of 5. Good. Deep breath in. Exhale all the air out of the body. And then inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last round. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let the breath return to its natural rhythm. Notice if there are any differences from the rhythm of the breath naturally a moment ago, or if it's pretty much the same. If it feels any fuller, if it feels any freer. Maybe you're breathing a little bit more deeply into the belly. And just take a few more cycles of breath, just watching the rhythm of the breath. Good. On your next inhale, reach the arms up. As you exhale, join the hands together at your heart center. One more time, all together this morning. Deep inhale. And sigh it out. Namaste. All right, my friends. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining. Let me check in here. How do we do? I don't know how to go.
It was as hard as I remember, but nice and like when I've watched videos before, I've thought, what are they doing? Where she spoke me through what I was supposed to be doing, so it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's the challenge, I think, with the videos is that people don't know their alignment. And, you know, it's okay. How would you if someone can't correct you? But you know, anything we do repeatedly over and over with improper alignment, that's how we end up getting into habitual injuries and stuff like that. So that's my worry with people who do like only online yoga. And it's my concern, especially during this time with people where you can't do hands-on adjustments. I don't know how you are, you know, where you are, but in California, we haven't been able to get more than 6 feet, you know, it's really distant. And so without having something where you can really be focusing and go, okay, press your knee back, or, you know, it's tough. Yeah. I worry about anything, any kind of exercise that you do. If you're not, you know, if it's weightlifting and it's not the proper alignment, what it's doing to your low back, it's not just yoga, it's anything. So
yeah, it was really good. I think my arms are going to be aching tomorrow.
Okay, well, good. Well, that's, you know, yoga more so even than other things, because it really does use your whole body. That's what people forget. They think, oh, it's relaxing and it's breath work and it's whatever. And it can be, but yeah, it's a good one. Okay, well, great. Well, I hope to see you again. I'm doing 3 different classes throughout the week. One of them is a 30-minute yoga sculpt, which moves a little more quickly than this, has the option of using light weights. You know, it's a little bit more of a, and then this one will be sort of more the slow flow and breathing. And then Saturday mornings, my time, I record, again, it'll all be on demand because I know everybody's in different time zones, but a 20-minute hit where we just do like interval exercises and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Right, nice to meet you.
All righty, nice to meet you. Thank you.
Welcome, you guys, to today's postpartum yoga class. This is an all levels flow class. We are going to be tightening the core and the pelvic floor, of course. We are also going to have a really heavy focus on breath and allowing you to create some inner calm, because I know you've got a lot going on. Even if we're just talking about dealing with our little people, it's a lot and it's chaotic. And it can often be filled with noise and mess and all of these things that we feel often like we internalize. And I want this to be your weekly self-care slot where you come back to a deeper sense of inner calm, mentally and physically. And my hope is that long after this session has finished, you continue to be able to embody that sense of deeper inner calm in your everyday life, in the way that you deal with your little ones. And I know they may be present with you right now, and that's okay. We are going to be having some still, quiet time during this practice. But if you have noise going on around you, that's totally normal. It doesn't mean you need to come out of the practice. It just means that you need to allow yourself to disengage from that noise internally. And that's a life skill. That is something that I think we all could use when we're in the supermarket and our little one is having a meltdown and we're just like, ah. If you can take a couple deep breaths and put yourself back in that state of, okay, this is happening. How am I now going to respond to it? You put yourself in a position of power and you allow yourself to stay more grounded in your center. So I'm going to invite you to come to a comfortable laying position to begin today. We're going to ground the energy before we move it.